Evening. Our top stories tonight. It's the Super Bowl, the game of games, the biggest game of the year, the big game, whatever you want to call it. It is here. The Super Bowl has arrived. It is officially the last day of the 2023 NFL season. Last night was the last night of it. As of tomorrow, it will be the 2024 season. But before we get to that, it'll be the 2023 season. I misspoke. It's the end of the 2022 season. It is the beginning of the 2023 season. And I am here to recap it all on Player Profiler Today. Of course, the Super Bowl, it kicks off at 6:30, probably a little bit later than that. So we are airing early. We usually don't like to mix up the time of Player Profiler Today, but if I'm going to be giving you all of the results, all of the scores, all of the props of the Super Bowl, I got to go early so you have enough time to watch it. Duh. So, of course, as I've been saying all week, the Philadelphia Eagles will win. They will cover the spread. They will score 31 points to 27 for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is a 58-point total, which means we hit the over 51 points, and the Eagles cover the 1.5 points pretty easily. And this is on the back of a star-making performance for Jalen Hurts. I am taking all sorts of overs, all of the passing game overs. Going to complete 28 of 35. That's over on attempts and completions. Going to take 3 passing touchdowns. That's over 1.5. 1 rushing touchdowns, 4 total touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. I am going to have him throwing in an interception, though. He's not completely perfect. 1 of his 7 incomplete passes will be an interception, but he's going to go for 327 yards through the air. That is over the 239.5 yard over under. He's going to have 8 carries, so we're taking the rushing under on Jalen Hurts. This is a theme of my Philadelphia Eagles prediction. We're taking all passing overs and pretty much all rushing unders. So Jalen Hurts, under 10 carries. Jalen Hurts, under 49.5 yards with 43 rushing yards, 360 yards total. But Kansas City, they're going to be ready for the run game, and Jalen Hurts is going to surprise people by hitting A.J. Brown for 7 receptions. That's over 5. 94 yards. That's over 72.5. A touchdown. And if you use Underdog Fantasy, and when you do use Underdog Fantasy, make sure you use promo code UNDERWORLD when you sign up for a free $100 bonus. When you deposit $100, you get $100. Whatever you put in, we Underdog matches with promo code UNDERWORLD up to $100. And you can bet on A.J. Brown hitting over 13.05 fantasy points. That is 18.9 if you remember. 7 receptions, that's 3.5 because Underdog uses half-point PPR. That's 94 yards and a touchdown, 18.9 points in half-point PPR. But that's not even the team leader. No, I've got Devonte Smith catching 9 passes. That's over 5. Over 64.5 yards with 106 yards. Devonte Smith leads the Super Bowl in receiving yards, also catches a touchdown pass, 21.1 fantasy points. That is over the 12.25 that Underdog has him set at. And same with Dallas Goedert. We're hitting the over 5 receptions. He's catching 6. Over 49 yards, I believe. So he's catching 69 yards. And a touchdown for Dallas Goedert. We're taking 2 receptions for Quez Watkins. That's 27 yards. That's the over 12.5 for Quez Watkins. But Zach Pascal, no receptions for Zach Pascal. We're taking the under on him. And when it comes to the backfield, we're taking mostly unders. We're taking all Miles Sanders unders at the very least. 10 carries is under the 13.5 carry limit for Miles Sanders. We're taking under on his rushing prop. 60.5 rushing yards total is his prop. We're giving him 4.3 yards per carry on 10 carries. Not a bad day, just not a lot of usage. He's going to catch 1 pass for 6 yards, so that's over his 4.5 yard receiving prop over on Underdog. 49 total yards, and he doesn't score, so that's under on total yards, under on his touchdown prop. And Kenny Gainwell, we're thinking that Kenneth Gainwell is going to hit the over on all of his. Because if Miles Sanders is down, Kenneth Gainwell is not hard to hit those props. 2 receptions and 12 yards, that's over 11.5 yards. That's easy to hit. 6 carries, that's over 4.5. The last time the Eagles had a blowout in the passing game, not a blowout, but last time the Eagles had a passing game like I'm predicting, there were 6 carries for Boston Scott. I'm giving those 6 carries to Kenneth Gainwell. 35 yards rushing, that's over 19.5. 47 total yards, that's over 35.5. So we're taking all overs on Kenneth Gainwell. Boston Scott, 2 carries for 6 yards. Not expecting a ton from him. But those are all of your bets for the Eagles. All of it. I have predicted the Super Bowl for you on the Eagles side, and I can do the same on the Kansas City Chiefs side. Patrick Mahomes, 284 yards passing. That's under the 294.5 yards passing that he is set at over on Underdog. But we are going to take the over on rushing yards. 18.5 seems very low. I know he's got the high ankle sprain, but 33 rushing yards for Patrick Mahomes. Tops that. Throws 2 touchdown passes, but also throws 2 interceptions. In his previous 2 Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes, 2 interceptions in the win, 2 interceptions in the loss. With him trying to play hero mode, I think we're going to see another 2-pick day from Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce, we're taking the over on 7.5 receptions, but just barely. We're getting him to 8 for 84 yards and a touchdown. So not the most spectacular day for Travis Kelce, but that's fine. 84 yards and a TD in the Super Bowl is still pretty damn good. Justin Watson, we think that he is going to impress. 4 receptions, 35 yards, which is over his 14.5 over under and a touchdown. Watson missed last week's game with illness. He is back. And it's a good thing too, because everyone is injured. Now they're all playing, but all of the receivers pretty much are injured. Juju Smith-Schuster, we're taking under 3.5 receptions. He can catch 3 passes, 34 yards. He's going to go under his yardage total, his reception total, and his fantasy points total. MVS, he's not injured, but do you really think MVS is going back-to-back big games? No. MVS, 2 receptions. That's under his 2.5 receiving line. 23 yards. That's under his 37.5 line for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Nothing for Sky Moore. We're getting him blanked. He had the punt return, but he did not particularly impress me outside of that punt return. There's actually some embarrassing plays. Sky Moore, not very good so far in the NFL. Maybe he can change. I was hoping he would be a star, but so far, not so good. But Kadarius Toney is going to play a larger role in this offense. 5 receptions for Kadarius Toney. That's over 3. 45 yards receiving, 2 rushes for 8 yards, 53 yards total. So we're taking the over on Kadarius Toney receptions, over on his 27.5 receiving yards, and definitely over on his 34.5 total yards. I think Kadarius Toney, even though he's hurt, Kansas City, they're going to bring out a couple of trick plays for him, and he's going to be more involved than a lot of people want to admit. Unlike CEH. CEH is going to get 2 carries, no receptions. He's going to have 1 target that falls incomplete. CEH is over. Doesn't matter. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 carries, so that's over the 11.5 carries. 72 yards, that's over 49.5 line set on Underdog. Going to catch 1 pass, so that is under the 17.5 receiving yards line. 80 total yards from Isaiah Pacheco. He scores the 3rd touchdown, because remember, Patrick Mahomes has 2, 1 to Kelce, 1 to Justin Watson. Isaiah Pacheco scores that 3rd touchdown in the 27-point loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Jerick McKinnon, 4 receptions, 29 yards. So that's over on both of his receiving props, 4 carries and 12 yards. That's under both of his rushing props, and 41 yards total. That is under the 43.5 that we have set for him. I hope you're happy. I hope you realize that the Super Bowl is here, and I've told you how it ends. So I'm sorry for the spoiler. I should have put a spoiler alert before the show, but hey, if you want to make the prop bets, I gave them all to you. And one last note, we said we're predicting the Super Bowl and beyond. We're predicting who's going to be the starting quarterback for multiple teams, many, many teams. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals, I truly think it's going to be Colt McCoy. I think the Cardinals are tanking. They're going to go into the season with Colt McCoy and some other, maybe Baker Mayfield, as the 2 starters, with Kyler Murray on the shelf for at least half the season, if not the entire thing. So the Cardinals are going to start Colt McCoy and Baker Mayfield in the QB competition while Kyler sits. The Falcons, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the Falcons are going to land Lamar Jackson. We're going to hear that heating up throughout the offseason. And then when the Ravens cannot sign Lamar, he's going to be traded to Atlanta. And his replacement in Baltimore will be Anthony Richardson, learning under Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowl quarterback. The Ravens believe in him. And if And when they do trade Lamar Jackson, they're going to need a successor. That's Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson can't start right away. We are having Tyler Huntley, the Pro Bowl quarterback, help groom Anthony Richardson for the starting job, just like Sam Darnold will do for CJ Stroud in Carolina. I've been on that one for a while. I know I flirt with the idea of the Raiders landing Anthony Richardson last night, but I still think it's going to be CJ Stroud to the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be Bryce Young to the Houston Texans, and it's going to be Will Levis to the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers to the Las Vegas Raiders. Despite the rumors that the Raiders might like Jimmy G more, I do think they land Devonte Adams, former quarterback. And I think Derek Carr goes to the Saints, whether it's a trade, whether it's free agency, either way. I think he is going to be traded or signed to the Saints. I don't think it really matters which one it is. I think that the Jets, missing on Aaron Rodgers, are going to have to replace him with Jimmy Garoppolo, which is just going to be such a letdown. Oh, I hope Jets fans are ready. I really, really hope Jets fans are ready. And I hope you are ready for a fantastic Super Bowl. Make sure you have lots of good eats. You get the chili, you get the dip, you get the pizza, you get the wings, you get it all because you deserve it.